stumbled on a small manufacturer's maple water and really had no idea that this natural hydration comes directly from trees. The product, absolutely loved how hydrating it was, how much better it made us feel. I knew it was going to be hard work, and I definitely underestimated and was not aware of really all of the things that were going to be thrown our way. But I am so impressed with the undergrad. I mean, really impressed with everybody, but it's really exciting to see the undergrads that have these companies. They're so smart. They're so excited because there's no better time to push
Mhm.
yourself and learn and to fail. If you're going to fail, that's a great time to fail. It's it's a very soft landing. Um, and so you don't have as many responsibilities.
Everyone, I have Kate over here. She is a Ironman triathlete, lecturer at Tufts University teaching entrepreneurship and early CPG ventures. She is a mentor. She's part of the Northeastern's venture lab called IDEA. She is a sports nutritionist. She's a co-founder of Drink Simple. She is also the co-founder of Real Fit Kitchen. So that's a mouthful. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's just jump right into it. Given your background, Ironman triathlete, right? I'm
Yes.
assuming that's not an easy thing that people can like. How did you get into it? And I know for a fact that your husband is also a triathlete as well.
Yeah. So I got into triathlon, I can't believe it, about 18 years ago. And I had played lacrosse in college, but didn't have any experience with cycling or swimming. And my brother actually was really excited about doing a triathlon and tried to convince me to do it with him. He was at the time, he was in college and he was interning with a family friend who had done the Ironman in Hawaii, and I think he had put a bug in his ear. So anyway, so we decided to do our first sprint triathlon way back, and we were just bit by the love of the sport and continued to do it really very consistently. And then I joined a group, a training group, and they had all done multiple Ironmans. I showed up to the first run and they said, "Oh, what Ironman are you doing this year?" And
Mhm.
like, what? And I think they were really instrumental in getting me to sign up for my first Ironman about a year later. And I have done 14 full distance Ironman since
Jeez.
doing.
Wow, I can barely run for more than 2 minutes without huffing and puffing. It's pretty amazing. Is that where you met your husband? Like, how did he get into this as well?
So we were triathlon training partners. So he
Oh,
was in it before we had met. So when we had met, he had signed up for his first Ironman, and I think at the time I had done maybe four, and so I now that looks like very few, but
mhm.
I felt like I was seasoned.
Wow. How did that shape your way of thinking? Like, imagine like if you had not gotten into this Ironman, what do you think it has impact other than the obvious physical benefits? Is there anything else that has helped you being a part of this?
Absolutely. But I think so. Our founding story of Drink Simple was founded in Ironman. So whenever I look at what the sport has literally changed my life in so many ways.
Mhm.
And I'm very thankful that it really has brought me a lot of stress relief, as crazy as that is. I mean, in the entrepreneurship world, when you're consistently faced with so much stress, that has given me both that obviously physical benefit, but then also that mental benefit. So strength training has always been that balance for me to get a clear head and get away from the work and the stress of building a beverage company. And I think it's also really enabled me to have confidence in myself, and that when you tackle challenges and you do hard things, it allows you in your daily life to remind yourself that you are strong, you're confident, and that you can accomplish anything. And so, really, whenever I'm facing challenges or I need to pump myself up, I draw back on those things that I've achieved while racing Ironman.
Talking of Drink Simple, and it's no secret that launching a food and beverage brand at any time is perhaps one of the most difficult categories to get into. I've read some studies that less than 0.01% of the F&B brands survive after a year of their starting, and rightfully so. It's tough competition, margins, massive organizations who are kind of in this space already, distribution challenges, supply chain challenges, like all these problems that are coming. So why did you decide to get into this, and why maple water?
So luckily, I had heard that food and beverage was hard to get into. Luckily, I think ignorance was bliss, and I didn't really fully understand. I knew it was going to be hard work, and we pride ourselves on working hard, and that we knew we could accomplish that challenge. But I definitely underestimated and was not aware of really all of the things that were going to be thrown our way. And so our founding story, we were doing Ironman in Canada and stumbled on a small manufacturer's maple water and really had no idea that this natural hydration comes directly from trees.
Mhm.
And tried the product, absolutely loved how hydrating it was, how much better it made us feel, that it was half the sugar of coconut water, and it was really sustainable. It had a lower carbon footprint. And then fast forward, at the time, I didn't know this, but fast forward, come to find out that it preserved North American forests and mitigated climate change through carbon sequestration. And so there was this huge sustainability aspect of it as well. That at the time, really, we got into it because we loved the functional profile of it and the taste and the way that it ultimately made us feel when we drank it.
Mhm.
And at the time, I had just graduated with my master's in nutrition. I was really into, I mean, still am, but into health and wellness and looking for things that could fuel me and help my training and then help me in my daily life feel better. And what I loved about maple water is that it had this almost magical functional benefit of making me feel better and hydrating me in a way that no other really product could. I would drink some coconut water, but for some, with the higher sugar, I couldn't drink really a lot of it. And in my training, I really needed to be able to drink more of it. And so maple water really fit that, fit that need for me. And so we weren't looking to start a company at all. So it wasn't like sitting around in an MBA class saying, what am I going to do?
Mhm.
Or what problem am I trying to solve?
Mhm.
Really stumbling on it, we found a solution to, a problem that we currently had. And so when we decided to do it, as a huge jump of faith, like I said, didn't really know anything. I think we knew enough to know that we didn't know things and we were going to need to learn.
Mhm.
And so we really threw ourselves into learning as much as possible and trying to be sponges through things like BevNet and calling maple farmers and talking to different
Mhm.
people to really get an idea of what we were getting ourselves into.
And what were some of the challenges that you faced along, at least the biggest challenges that you faced along the way?
I mean, definitely a lot. It has been a wonderful decade, but it's kind
Mhm.
of crazy to look back at a lot of the challenges. I think um, the food and beverage in particular market, I think it's not really set up for people to
Mhm.
succeed.
Mhm.
It's very challenging. You're up against the big guys, and trying to get margins that are make it sustainable to grow. And you're faced with, building a company and having an eye towards financial stability and growing those margins. But at the same time, you need to be spending a lot of money so that you're able to hit the volumes and the velocities on the shelf to be competitive with, I mean, the
Mhm.
big companies. And so I think that dichotomy of needing to spend to make sure your product is moving in an adequate way, but then also making sure that you're paying attention to cash flow and not driving yourself to no cash, can be very challenging.
Mhm.
And I think ultimately that's what drives companies, beverage companies in particular, to the point of, you know, either closing doors or saying this isn't worth it. The growth at all cost model was very, very big for a long time. Even then, a very small percentage of companies made it. And in the past several years, I mean, we've definitely seen that shift from a growth of all cost model. People want to see profitability.
Mhm. Because of your position in IDEA, which is a Northeastern's venture lab, and plus because you kind of deal with early stage entrepreneur students and so on, is there a shift, or like what has been your observations along the years when you speak with early entrepreneurs? Are they more reluctant? Are they more excited? Like what is your feedback on the new age of entrepreneurs that are coming up soon?
I am so impressed. The future is bright. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but so at Northeastern, I'm on the IDEA board. So really my position is the ventures pitch to us for grant money. And so I'm seeing, this is everything from current students to alums of Northeastern come through. And I'm so impressed. And then on the Tufts side, as I mentioned, I teach entrepreneurship classes at Tufts, and those are all undergraduate students. So I'm seeing a wide range of different undergrad, grad, and alums. But I am so impressed with the undergrad. I mean, really impressed with everybody, but it's really exciting to see the undergrads that have these companies. When I was an undergrad,
Uh-huh.
there were some people that had
Mhm.
companies, but not many of us. And it was so far from my wildest dreams to start a company at that point in time. And so they're so smart, they're so excited. I think youth gets a bad rap, and I'll call them kids because they seem like kids to me, but these kids are super bright and very determined and have a lot of great ideas and very passionate. And so I left a class I was teaching a couple weeks ago, and I said, I am the future's bright. I'm so excited. These kids are very smart. And so it definitely helps too to fuel me in my daily
Mhm.
daily work to see the passion coming, out of these schools.
And I think one other reason could be because of the easy access and the lowering of barriers for a lot of these entrepreneurs to begin their companies. I mean, registering the company, branding, even in some instances, getting the product, it has become really cost efficient because of proliferation of all these added services that have come. And I think with younger people, probably they have more enthusiasm to learn new things. They are willing to kind of push themselves to try
Mhm.
out new things, and I think it's great that we have this atmosphere of like entrepreneurship budding in.
It's great, and I think it's the best time to do it because there's no better time to push
Mhm.
yourself and learn and to fail. If you're gonna fail, that's a great time to fail. It's it's a very soft landing. And so you don't have as many responsibilities. You probably don't have a mortgage, you probably don't have
Mhm.
children, you probably don't have all these things that as and not to say that entrepreneurs that do have those things aren't bad entrepreneurs at all by any stretch of the imagination, but there's less on the line, and you typically can take a lot more risks.
Got it. So finally, I have a few rapid fire questions that I usually ask my guests.
Oh
What
boy.
are your like initial thoughts? But before we get into that, so just for me to know personally, like I would love to know what has your experience been working with us, working with me and my team at Xena.
It's been phenomenal. We've been in this industry for 10 years. So we've worked with a lot of different people, and you have helped us get the best results in the most efficient and cost effective manner. So the ROI, I would say, has been through the roof.
Very kind. And what are your new thoughts on the new product that we are going to launch, the AI-based listing optimizations? You were one of the first users of it. I'd love to know your like unfettered thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the new product. I think that it's going to allow everything from small and emerging companies into larger companies as well, test these listings that's way more cost effective and efficient. As you know, having people that are doing this on a consistent basis and creating the copywriting can be very drowning for smaller companies, especially, right? We don't have the ability to continue to create that and test, and it can drive fees up at that, emerging brands just don't have. And so I feel like this is a really great way to bring these resources and optimization to brands in a really cost effective way that hopefully is going to pay off on the sales and results.
Thank you. It's very kind of you. All right, let's get to the rapid fire. Just few questions, like 4 questions, really. First one, what is the worst thing of being an entrepreneur?
Oh, the insomnia.
Oh, right. Mental health.
Yeah, mental health and the insomnia and anxiety for sure.
And how do you deal with that usually?
Exercise.
That helps. There you go. That's it. All right. Second question, like, have you or have the people you have spoken to ever felt a pushback because you are a female founder in this space?
So yes, I have, but not overtly. I would say there's definitely been instances that under like sexist comments and misogynistic comments have been made. I think part of going back to Ironman, part of the way that I'm dealing with it is knowing I'm a super, strong woman, and it brings confidence to me in dealing with these type of situations. Um, I haven't faced as much sexism of stories I've heard from other women entrepreneurs though. So I think that we have a long way to go. However, fortunately, there's been very minor instances that I've faced versus very large problems.
And were those usually in the form of like direct comments, or was it something in the background?
Direct comments, I would
Ooh,
say. Yeah.
well, all right. Next, what is the one thing you like and one thing you don't like about Jeff?
Oh, um, let's see. Has nobody else can solve a problem like Jeff. He has an uncanny ability to problem solve
Mhm,
anything,
mhm.
and do it in a really cost effective way. I would say there's nothing I don't like about him. I
Oh,
would say he
wow.
definitely has weaknesses in some regards, but I think that those weaknesses make him who he is and makes his strengths that much more strong.
All right. And if you had a time machine and you could go back to the beginning, or you could go back to your undergrad days, is there something you would do differently?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I think I would have done more interning in different types of industries to get exposure to that.
Mm,
My undergrad, I went to Colby College, and their entrepreneurship lab actually just opened 2 weeks ago. So I
mm.
didn't have an entrepreneurship lab or place that I could go to learn that. So I don't regret that. But I think that growing up in Boston and growing up with a family that was in tech, I started my career in tech pretty much because that's what I was surrounded with. And I wish as an undergrad, I would have interned in some more different industries, especially food and beverage, because I think I really would have liked that a lot. That being said, our journey and every decision we make leads us to where we are. So maybe if I had started in food and bev, I would have, stuck in that company and not necessarily started my own thing. So I don't regret anything, so to speak, because I do believe every choice leads you to where you are. But
Mhm.
if I were advising somebody who is an undergrad,
Mhm.
I would say try to get as much exposure in things that might interest you so that you can have a clear, vision of where you want to take your career in the future.
Nice. And have you had any, and I ask most of the brand owners, have you had any crazy fan stories, fans of your product? Any interesting anecdotes, something that surprised you or you didn't expect?
Yeah, so we've had some, when we were switching to cartons, we had went out of the plastic bottles, we had a long out of stock. And we're currently facing a out of stock right now with a lot of products. And I always say in these two time periods, the silver lining and the blessing that comes with these out of stocks is these stories that are the ones that come out of the woodworks that we wouldn't normally hear.
Mhm.
And the stories are the impacts that we've had in people's lives. So everything from, this is the only thing that makes me feel better. I have a rare disease. I've got a chronic illness. This is the only thing that makes my kid, um, basically function. I got one recently that was saying
Mhm.
it's a chronic illness, and my kid really survives because of your product. Like, when are you getting it back in
Mhm.
stock?
Wow.
During COVID, a lot of things, real stories that made me cry. I mean, was hospitalized with COVID. He ended up passing, but the daughter was bringing cases of maple water every day, and he was the only thing he wanted that made him feel better. And on his last day, he was drinking maple water, and it's just so, I mean, humbling that the last moments of people's lives, this is what they want to put in their body. So those are the ones. We have a lot of stories around athletes, and obviously I'm very passionate about athletes, but the ones where people are suffering and this truly brings them relief and feeling better are the stories that just make me so proud and remind me of my why. So as we were talking about earlier in the podcast, what the insomnia and the anxiety and that of being an entrepreneur and starting a company, when I receive those types of questions, those type of emails, that really reminds me of why we're doing what we're doing.
And these are the anecdotes that you're aware of. I'm sure there are more that they haven't reached out to you. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss out on, where people just think when they think of brands, it's like they're pushing products or they're just selling it, their deals and discounts. There is always a story behind every purchase, every customer, because it's a very human experience, and we just get like a sliver of what the
Mhm.
authentic story is. So just to give an example, like we have worked on Amazon for quite a while together, and the amount of data that we get is pretty interesting. And one thing that I've observed is that a lot of the customers who come in are the ones who don't search for maple syrup or are not
Mhm.
looking for this specific brand, but usually search things like health drinks or even triathlon or all these keywords. And I think there was a keyword once, I think it was said like drink for cancer remission or something like very
Mhm.
specific. Like one person searched for it, one person clicked on it, one person bought it. So in like an Excel sheet, it might just be one keyword, but like each of that is a story in itself, and that I think
Mhm.
it's a wonderful thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And all right, finally wrapping it all together, you've come a long way. Where do you see yourself personally and professionally going ahead in the future with the brand, and just where the whole industry is leading towards?
Yeah, absolutely. I continue to see myself running the brand, personally and professionally. I think we have a lot more people to reach. We have a lot more exciting things and places to go with the brand. I know we work mostly on our ready to drink side, but we also have a bulk ingredient division. So we sell to companies to use maple water as an ingredient. So it brings this functional, no sugar added, hydrating benefits and subtle taste to different products. And that's been very, very exciting. We've gotten a ton of interest and seen a lot of growth in that portion of the company as well. And so, yeah, the future is bright. We've got a lot going on. We're very fortunate to, be entering into this new decade. I can't even believe that I'm saying that, but yes, given that the industry is tough, the economic times are tough, we're very excited about the future.
Really appreciate your time, Kate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.